From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
Mike Madigan runs the Democratic House floor for 30-plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out.
Dan and Amy, that theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints.com, all things Illinois policy related. Before we get to Ted,
yes,
the battle over masking the kids ain't over. It's not over in Virginia. It's not over in Illinois. It's not over anywhere there are COVIDian politicians in charge, and that would certainly include Illinois. But let me give you an example of what parents need to continue to do. A Montgomery County, Virginia parent named Alicia Vaught providing some reckoning for school board chairman Susan Cass. And school board chairman Susan Cass didn't like it very much, and that's just too bad, according to Alicia Vaught. Take a listen.
We sat here last year and listened to you guys preach to us about Governor Northam's executive orders and how we must follow them. You guys remember that? We do. So here's the governor that comes into office, but yet you don't want to follow his orders. Why is that? Why is it different from the last year when we were here to this year? Two different governors, two different political parties. So we were supposed to follow it last year, but not this year. That makes no sense, and it makes all of you a bunch of hypocrites, except for Dana and Jamie. Ms. Cass, you also yelled at me the last time I was here for taking off my mask, but here's a picture of you right here on Facebook with a crowd of people.
That's it.
With no mask on. This is my time, and I don't interrupt you. Here's another picture with you with a no mask on.
I'm sorry, Ms. Vaught, you are done. If you are going to sit there and disparage a member of our school board, then you can sit down. If you have something effective to say.
That's effective,
I
woman.
am not going to sit here.
This isn't about you anymore. It's about
Can we have a police officer, please?
What?
Yes. No, I'm not scared. I don't care. I would like you to either talk about something. You can talk about something that concerns our school board. Is there something about our students you would like to talk about? Then talk about our students.
You're taking up my time.
Can you please ask Ms. Vaught to leave?
Oh, my God.
Thank you.
What, for speaking the truth?
Ms. Vaught, let's let the rest of us talk.
Mm-hmm. And so she went on, and then actually Ms. Cass, the school board member, walked out, and she said, Vaught said to her, we're coming for your seat. And she said, you can have it. Okay, fine. We'll take it.
Bye.
That's exactly the approach.
Hypocrisy hurts.
And maybe Susan Cass and Joel Taub, that guy who's obsessed with people's balls up in Glenview, maybe they can go on vacation together.
Yeah, and they can talk about their balls. And anytime I tweet about him, he's got a huge following of people who love him and tell me to stay out of it. My kids don't go to Glenbrook High School, so shut up. Like, no, I'm not shutting up. And by the way, his kids don't go to Glenbrook High Schools either. He has a grandchild that soon will be entering an elementary school.
So this is an opportunity. As I said, you've got to maintain the pressure, and you have got to deliver political accountability to the Susan Casses and the Joel Taubes of the world if you don't want a repeat of what's happened over the last 2 years.
And tonight's a big meeting, Wilmette and New Trier High School. They're going to be deciding whether or not they should go mask optional. And if they fall, that would be great. But we still have CPS, Oak Park, River Forest, and Evanston.
Well, I hope some of the parents up on the North Shore channel Alicia Vaught when they address that school board. For more on this, Ted Dabrowski joins us now. Ted, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Morning. So on the governor's appeal to the Supreme Court on the school mask mandate, even as masks are falling from faces across the fruited plains, what is your take on why he would continue to prosecute this case?
Yeah, I can only say, it's tricky to get into his mind, but I can only say that he wants things done on his terms. And, he's run the state for 700 plus days on executive order. It's been his word and nobody else's. He's taken on all the challenges. And so I think it's more of, look, you're going to do it when I do it, when I say it's time. And it might be a week after if he wins his appeal, it might be a week after that he announces he lets him go. But it's got to be on his terms. That's the only thing I can think about.
He's such a control freak. I mean, just lick your wounds and say, you know what? They've spoken. This is what we should have done from the beginning anyway, and have school choice and each school district decide on their own. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, maybe the union power. He wants to make sure that he does as much as he can to show the unions that he backed them, supported them, and if he loses in the courts, well, then it's not his fault. But you've got now, 80% plus school districts across the state now that have gone mask choice. So, he's lost it. He's lost it in the public opinion already. So, it's a curious thing that he's still hanging on. But, maybe it'll be over sooner.
And Ted, I wanted you and our listeners to know, and you too, Dan, that the CEO of CPS, Pedro Martinez, the principal at Mount Greenwood, and athletic director at Vernon Hills are being held in contempt of court. And Pedro Martinez asked the judge if his assistant could go in his place. And obviously she said no. And then he asked the judge if he could zoom in. I don't think he understands the ramifications of what it means to be held in contempt of court. Do you?
Jeez.
I mean, that's pretty.
I don't know, and I haven't followed exactly where that is right now. But that's a whole other big monster that we're having to unpeel as these mandates, rulings come out.
It seems to me this legislation I'm about to reference, House Bill 4424, couldn't be more appropriately timed. This would allow municipal governments in Illinois with fewer than 3 million residents, which is all of them, to levy up to a 3-cent per gallon gas tax for road projects at the local level. They wouldn't have to, submit this for voter approval, resident approval. So good time to raise gas taxes in Illinois, it seems.
Well, yeah, we're only the second highest, and if we want to get to the first highest in the country, we got to do more. I'm just kidding, of course. We doubled the motor fuel tax back in 2019. I shouldn't say we. Governor Pritzker and the legislature did from 19 cents to 38 cents. And because we have a sales tax on gasoline, every time the price goes up, so do the taxes. And so that's how we've ended up at number 2. This is what's going to happen, I think, in this government as things get tougher with finances. They're going to allow local governments to do more and more to manage their finances because the state's going to have a harder and harder time over time funding things. So here you go, and you can see the roads are pretty bad. So more taxes. Why not?
Well, sure. I mean, we only double tax it. Might as well layer on some more. Everybody gets to wet their beak. I understand that. But you said some trouble with state finances. I understand from the governor we have a budget surplus thanks to him. There's no trouble.
Yeah, this is the real problem with federal bailouts. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. The nearly $200 billion that's come into the state has flooded the coffers, and it's allowing Pritzker to say all kinds of positive things about the numbers, about funding, about pensions, and the reality is none of it's true. It's only maybe kind of quote true between quotes in the next year or so, but everything gets back to normal pretty soon, and you're going to see the pains that have been there all along. And I think it shows up. We put out some numbers yesterday on unemployment, the number of people without jobs. We lag the Midwest, we lag the country, but we lag the Midwest in job creation. We've got, if we had the same unemployment rate as Indiana, we'd have 160,000 more people working, but we don't.
Yeah,
and
that actually is getting back to normal because we had twice or 1.5 times the unemployment rate of our neighboring states pre-pandemic. So things are back to normal.
Well, yes, yeah. As the unemployment rate goes down, it gets, the difference between the states gets lower. But we still have a massive gap. I mean, Indiana's unemployment rate is almost half of ours, and that's something that can't be ignored. I mean, I know he'll want to ignore it, but if we were doing so well, we would be keeping up with the national average at least, and we're far behind the national average. And these are people, this is people's lives, right? We're talking about livelihoods again. He was so worried about COVID and lives, but he would not worry about livelihoods, and it shows up in the jobs numbers.
You know what we need?
What?
We need more government money. We need more federal money for restaurants and hospitals. Hospital execs are complaining for more money, too. That's what we need in Illinois. That's the only thing keeping us with that artificially high unemployment. We just haven't gotten our fair share of federal funding money.
Well, when you come back to the budget and what Pritzker said about the budget and how much better it is, he's ignoring the fact that we have a $5 to $6 billion hole in the unemployment insurance fund that we ran dry because we didn't have enough in it before COVID hit, and we ended up borrowing over $4 billion from the federal government, and we still owe that money, and the governor has not used the federal relief funds to refill the coffers and pay back that loan, so that has to happen as well. So he can brag about the numbers all he wants, but we still got a massive $5 billion, $6 billion hole.
And it's so weird because Chicago restaurateurs are just, banging the drum. Yesterday they had, I don't know if you saw this, Ted, but they had a press conference and they had on an easel a picture of Senator Durbin and Senators Duckworth. And here's Roger Romanelli from the Chicago Restaurant Coalition.
What we know is Illinois and Chicago has some of the greatest restaurants in the world. And yet our Illinois senators are silent, as 177,000 restaurants across America are on the brink of going out of business today.
And they blame it on, of course, vaccine passports and masks and supply chain issues. And that's the reason why, they said in Chicago hundreds could be closed down even today if they don't get financial help. But they brought this upon themselves, don't you think, because they didn't fight back. They just bent over and took it.
They're waiting a little long to fight back, for sure, and I heard some of those comments yesterday. The reality is the numbers are horrible. In the numbers we ran yesterday, we're still 80,000 jobs down in the food service sector alone compared to before COVID. So it's massive drops, and these COVID passports, nobody's talking about them anymore. We got to get rid of them. The mask mandates are hurting, and we got to get back to normal and let those restaurants and job these company owners get back to normal and create jobs and get people paid.
I thought it was the vaccine passports were going to be a boon to the restaurants because it was going to make it clear that it's safe to go back out and eat, and because everybody's going to be vaxxed and then everybody's going to be masked, and this was going to be a positive thing. That's what Spalding and particularly Triple Threat told us, and that's what a lot of restaurateurs told us too, either explicitly or through their silence.
Well, and you're right. They should have been fighting back from the very beginning. I always said, if in a free market way, if it's such a damn good thing, then just, you don't need the Cook County or Chicago government to tell you to enforce it. You can just do it on your own, have your own vaccine passport, and that'll get you all kinds of business. Of course, a lot of people are behind it, and here we are. More job losses, an emptier Chicago, and deep trouble for the city.
Ted Dabrowski, president at Wirepoints.com, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks as always, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Grandview buys homes. Hi, I'm Tom Detlich, and I have great news for people who want to sell their home, particularly a home that needs work, but are worried about the current health conditions we are living with. You've heard that Grandview Homes is the fastest and easiest way to sell your home.